John Borthwick, CEO of betaworks and one of the visionaries of the social web. John, you've said to me that billions of dollars are now flowing into the social economy. How is that going to change the business in 2011?
So I think that, 3 years ago, we started out with this premise that navigation would change online, right? And so that's a big deal, because if you think the last 7, 8 years, Google has been the dominant navigational metaphor. It's been the dominant navigational tool and monetization platform for all traffic on the web. And so our belief was that would change. That certainly has happened. And so what we're now seeing is we're seeing a lot of money flow into the social web and consumer web in general, whether it be through investment dollars, whether it be through advertising, whether it be through PR. I was out on a plane this week, and when we landed, the over the air they said, if you want to pull out your phones and make a call or send a tweet, please do. So it's remarkable how quickly this stuff is becoming embedded in the culture, and it's also it's been led by users, right? So you can talk about dollars, you can talk about the billions which are flowing into this segment. The real reason is behavior is changing. Facebook's adoption, it's remarkable. They picked up maybe 150 million users in the last year. Twitter picked up maybe 100 or thereabouts. Facebook is now at about 600 million people. I mean, it's the speed of adoption of these things is remarkable. And that is what ultimately is driving it. People are changing behavior and people are doing things differently. And it's ultimately there's going to be a lot of big businesses that will be built here.
If in 2011 LinkedIn go public, Groupon perhaps, Zynga, how is that going to change the business environment?
I think it would. It's a hypothetical, but I think that the IPO market is beginning to open up. I mean, the people who are right now sort of on the edge, probably Skype and maybe LinkedIn and a handful of others. Hopefully Groupon too. It's one of our companies and one which we're very excited about. How does it change the environment? I think it's all for the positive, because you get you get more capital that flows into these businesses from more diverse sources. You get more transparency, so people actually understand that these are big businesses, right? Because in the last internet bubble, there was more than 50% of many companies' capital was going straight into billboards in Times Square or on Route 101. In other words, advertising in all media. What's happening today with these businesses is a lot of them are going up, and some of them are making a lot of money. And there's an awful lot of money which is beginning to flow through these companies. Groupon being a great example. I mean, I think it's remarkable how quickly that company, truly remarkable how quickly it's gotten to billions of dollars of revenue.
Technologists always say things are early until it's all over. Is this still are we still in the early stage of the social media revolution?
Until it's all over. I think it is the early stage. I mean, it's interesting. I hear people sort of referring to this as being like 1998. So the implication is that there's at least sort of people view that there's a couple more years of innovation and of sort of aggressive development in the business before before people anticipate a contraction at some point. I think what's important to remember is that in the last cycle, everybody remembers it as a single bubble. That wasn't in fact what happened. What happened was that there was about 5 or 6 successive sort of inflations and contractions, right? So there was e-commerce. It was like the biggest thing. There was local. It was like the biggest thing. There was content. And these things sort of expanded and then contracted. And then there was an overall contraction, which was driven by sort of fundamentals out there in the market. There were a whole bunch of things that drove that. But despite all that, innovation didn't stop, right? It's not like the consumer internet was done. And so, the advent of Facebook, Twitter, Tumblr, all these companies are redefining the way people find things online. And as the mobile experience grows, as the social experience grows, as video becomes a more dominant media type, it's all this stuff. If you're going to find things differently online, then there's going to be ways to make money differently. And that's what's happening most fundamentally today.